Do you want to make your crackle effects go from this to this? Well, then stick around, I'll show you how.
Shurfrousky's Cult of Nine.
Alright, so to do a crackle base, you're obviously going to need some kind of crackling paste or basing texture. What I'm using is Citadel's Crackle and Earth. And also I'm going to be doing a little bit of experiment too with this. So usually you use like a PVA glue to make the crackles pop even more. But I'm also going to be trying gloss varnish too. We're going to see how that works too. So check it out. Okay, so for this test I'm going to be using these 3 blue horrors. On the left is going to be the base, so no effects added to the crackle. So it's just going to be the raw crackle paste applied to the base. In the middle, we're going to be using a gloss varnish to be put on the base first, and the crackle will go over it. And on the right, we're going to be using wood glue as the PVA glue, and that will be under the crackle for that one. Alright, we're going to get our blue horror. That's going to be our test for the gloss varnish. So here we are, going to get some of that gloss varnish and put it on first before we put on any of the crackle paste. Now the reason I'm using gloss varnish instead of PVA glue on this guy is I kind of noticed, or at least my theory with how these crackle pastes work is if there's like a shiny and gloss smooth finish when the paste is applied onto it, I think that's why the crackle effect can look better and why you can get these bigger, wider cracks from it. So that's the reason why I'm using gloss varnish, because it leaves that smooth finish, right? So that's going to be our test, and to see if my theory is kind of correct and if applying on this gloss varnish actually helps with that. Also, if you're going to be using this method to use any kind of gloss varnish, make sure you put it on kind of thick too as well, because varnishes usually don't apply on at least as thick as PVA glue does. So you might need to add like a layer or 2 of this gloss varnish to make sure it's nice and thick and glossy. Alright, next we're going to grab our blue horror. That's going to be our test with the PVA glue. So I'm using wood glue. This is just what I mostly have around my house. But in general you can use any kind of PVA glue, White Elmer's glue, or even the clear glue that you might use with kids in their art projects. Any type of PVA glue should be fine. This is the kind of tried and true method. If anybody ever tells you how to make your crackle effect be better on your bases and get those big wide cracks, usually this is the method they'll tell you, is to put on some PVA glue and then apply the crackle effect. So here are our 3 blue horror test models. On the left we have our basic plain one with nothing added onto it. That crackle paste put on raw. In the middle we have our model that we put our gloss varnish on, and on the right is the model that we put our wood glue on. So let's go put this Crackle and Earth paste on them and see how they turn out. First we're going to do the base model first, so the model that has nothing extra added onto the base. So it's just going to be the raw paste. So when you put it on, you're going to want to make sure you add it on thick. Usually with these crackle paste effects, the thicker you put it on, the better. If you put it on too thin, it can end up being just like really small, thin cracks, and it just looks more like dried dirt. If you put it on thick, when it dries, it will develop like these bigger and thicker cracks in general, even on raw bases. So when you apply these on, make sure you apply them on nice and thick. Don't be scared to put too much on. Right, here is our blue horror model that has the gloss varnish put on it. I'm going to apply the Crackle and Earth to it. Again, just like the other one, I'm going to put these on nice and thick. That's really going to help create those big crackle effects into it. Put this all over it and we'll let it dry and see how it looks. Here's our last blue horror test model. This is the one that has the PVA glue on it. We're putting it on nice and thick. We'll let it dry and we'll see how all of these guys turn out. So here are 3 blue horrors after the crackle paste has dried. Again, on the left we have our base model that didn't have anything applied onto the base, so just the raw crackle paste on it. The middle had our gloss varnish and the right had the wood glue. So even from here you can kind of see the differences, especially on the right of course. So let's go through them and check them out and see the differences. Alright, so with our base model, just the raw Crackle paste onto it. You can see how it crackled up. It crackled up pretty good. The paste was applied on pretty nice and thick. This is the standard look of the paste when it is applied on a raw base with nothing else on it. It has some decent gaps and cracks. Of course, by default, it's a little bit thinner cracking, same with the edge of the base too. Overall, looks pretty decent. Let's take a look at our gloss varnish. The gloss varnish really does come through to the bottom. You can still see how glossy it is. It doesn't actually look too much different, but I think I noticed that there is a lot more cracks with the crackling. The spacing seems about the same, like same thickness, same depth and spacing with the crack effect, but just more cracks in general. Yeah, I was kind of thinking it would have maybe a similar effect as the PVA glue, but I guess not. I think a model I tested before had bigger cracking, so I don't know. Maybe it just depends on how much gloss varnish you put on or not. Alright, now let's take a look at our PVA glue one. As you can see, this one looks really nice. The crack effect is nice and huge. Not small cracks at all. You can see how thick the cracking is too. Maybe around the feet, of course, it's a little smaller and on the base edges, but man, that looks great. That is the crackle effect you definitely want, especially if you want those fiery or lava type effects going on. Alright, and so those are the 3 ways you can apply on some crackle base effects. I hope those are pretty helpful. Of course, the PVA glue seems to be the best, so if you want those big thick cracks, make sure you use that technique. Alright, that's going to be it from you guys. I'll see you later. Adios.